Welcome to Busted Speakers. I'm Kush,
I'm Alex.
I'm Cam.
and today we're going to be reviewing Migration by Bonobo. God, I hope I'm saying that right. It sounds terrible.
It sounds fine.
Bonobo is a critically acclaimed British producer and DJ, mainly in the electronic ambient music field, and this is his sixth studio album. And I'm not the biggest fan of electronic music. I like it when it's implemented into other types of music more, but on its own, this was a pretty decent album. I felt like a lot of the songs were very, very interesting and had a lot going for them, and some of the features on here were pretty decent. I think that they really matched well with what he was trying to do.
Bonobo is probably not that. God, we probably should have looked up how to say his name.
Nah, it's better when we don't.
Yeah, funny. I'm surprised I haven't heard of him because he was really big in the UK in like the turn of the century with down tempo. I think is the specification of electronic music he does, and in the early 90s, early 2000s, that was like one of the prevalent pop genres. It's really relaxing stuff. You know, people like Moby, other people, Goldfrapp, people like that.
Air.
We're doing who? Sorry.
Air, they did Sexy Boy,
Yeah,
big
that
album.
was, yeah, I know of them. I just didn't hear what you said. Yeah, great band. Bonobo. Yeah, this was a pretty good album. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Go ahead.
It was definitely good, but honestly, I kind of felt about it the same way I did about the Flaming Lips new album last week. Just it was definitely lighter and had a lot more room to breathe than the Lips album, but it's just also the same thing where it's like overall everything is just very pretty, very gentle and smooth, and I don't remember a lot of like remarkable qualities to it, but it also sounds like the kind of album that's rewarding on repeated listens.
Yeah, I was trying to say earlier that down tempo was like the prevalent pop genre for a while, and you can really hear it from this. Like, if his earlier stuff was like this is just some of the most relaxing stuff I've ever heard, like on an album scale. This really helps me calm down. I definitely have some issues I need to sort out, and this album helps me greatly.
So there was a few songs that really stood out to me. Break Apart, Grains, and Second Son. I think those are my three favorite songs on the album. I really enjoyed when he did more atmospheric and I guess just more low-key and what do you call it? Just not as in your face. Something that would be really good background music. I think that's what he excelled at.
Well, that's what a down tempo means. It's like really down tuned. Well, not down tuned. I don't know, slow melody, really relaxing, chilled out pace. That's what the genre really means.
Yeah, so I guess that those are more down-tempo-ish songs, and I think all of those songs were probably my favorite because, well, Break Apart had the acoustic guitar or ukulele or whatever it was, and I think that just worked really well with the rest of the sounds and noises that were going on, and it flowed together very, very well. Then Grains came on and had the intro like I guess a choir hymn going on, and that was something that I haven't heard yet in the album. And the drum beats just get really exciting and they fall away, and then they come back and get exciting again and they fall away. And then Second Son was probably my most favorite because they implemented a piano and acoustic along with the electronic music, and it just really got into like an immersive atmosphere where you just got into the song and it was just going on all around you, and it just sounded gorgeous. And I think those were his best songs by far.
My two favourites were Outlier and Bambura Koyo Gandra. Outlier, I really love this song. It was like a adulterated version of a progressive electronic song. It went on for a while, but it went on so long that I actually really got into it. It was just, it took me on a ride, and whenever a song does that, as you know by now, I really appreciate it. It had the sort of dynamic beats I wanted from some of the other stuff, because I remember the first song, Migration, was really nice, had a nice vocal sample, really relaxing, but some of the percussion was just, I don't know, it was a little limp, and I wanted it to be more dynamic, so that Outlier, it had what I wanted, but then it got really nice and ambient towards the end, which I really loved, and it was just something to relax and zone out to. And then Bambara Koyo Gandra, you guys like that song?
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that it had, a more exotic, vocal and lyrical style compared to everything else on the album.
Yeah, whenever something, I don't know why I haven't checked out more Eastern influenced music, because whenever I hear it implemented in a song, like with my Pain of Salvation song Meaningless, is always a winner for me. On here, I just think it was a great use of a Moroccan music band, Inof Guanawa, and using something like that might seem like a bit of a cop-out, because he's basically building on a pre-existing music idea and just adding electronic elements to it, but I think he really made it work. There's some points towards the end where the bass goes so well with the vocals that I just think it was really inspired what he did with this song. I just think it's a really successful experiment, and was the most different sounding thing on this album. And whenever you get a different sounding thing like this, I'm just all for it.
Yeah, my favorite was Surface, mostly because of the featured singer, Nicole Miglis. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name. She just has a gorgeous voice. She sounds like the reincarnation of Dusty Springfield. It was fantastic. And I know Dusty did some more like electronic and dance-based music, like with the Pet Shop Boys toward the end of her career.
Yeah.
But it's just really nice hearing that quality of voice in a modern song like this. And it also just had like a great melody and a great rhythm to it that just carried the song along. I just really loved it.
I wrote for that song that it reminded me weirdly of the weird mid-2000s singer-songwriter scene in the UK, just from the vocals. That's what the vocals reminded me of. I know it's nothing like singer-songwriter. It's nothing like the Kate Nash and Lily Allen of the time. Well, maybe a little bit Lily Allen. But it's got the same sort of maudlin and precious vocal. And yeah, Dusty Springfield definitely had that. That was a good song.
Okay, so here's where we differ. So I hated Outlier. And
Oh, really?
the Surface, I can agree her singing was good, but I think in the production, you can't make out all of the vocals, and I feel like her tone and pitch are really well. I think it just gets masked behind the instrumentation. But with Outlier, God, was that song boring and loud and long. I was listening to it, and so me and another friend were listening to it because he's a big electronic music fan. We were listening to it, and we thought an ad had come up on Spotify, and we realized that we both have premium, and there couldn't be an ad pop up. And I don't know. It kind of felt out of place. Like every other song is pretty decent, and there's some good songs, but I think Outlier was the one song I just couldn't get in because it was just so out of place in the whole album.
You mean it was an outlier?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I knew you were gonna make that.
I am depressed now that you've said that. No, really. I mean, I just don't. Oh, I'm crestfallen. My first thing I wrote for that song was in caps. Really love this, and I really did. So this is like, I don't know. You're taking something away from me.
There was
If it
one.
helps, Alex. Sorry.
There's one part of the song where there's like everything cuts out and there's this beeping, and the beeping goes low, like the pitch goes lower and lower and lower, and that part was really interesting. But I felt like this was just a lot going on for a little, at least for me, for a little gain.
Yeah, well, when that beeping thing came on, I thought it was the notification that my internet had gone off. So when I found out it wasn't that, I was so happy.
This helps, Alex. If Outlier had been the ad music on Spotify, I would have vastly preferred it to the music that I was getting for the ads, because it's just like I'm listening to a modern metal album, and all of a sudden, it like after one track, it just launches into "Hey Ya" by Outkast, and I love that song, but it really breaks up the mood of a metal album, you know?
Yeah, I think they
And-
should definitely have ads that at least somewhat reflect the sound of what you're listening to. I don't have that problem, but yeah, I definitely can feel the pain of it, like just being really jarring and taking you out of the album.
This, I don't know. I liked Outlier.
I do agree
Just-
it went on too long, but I really liked it.
Just for the fact that, you know, it's just all, like I said, very calming, very pretty album, and that just fit in there, even if it did, you know, make its point and then some.
Another song I really liked was No Reason. And I agree that one goes on quite long as well, but I think Nick Murphy, or Chet Faker as he's more well known as, he put in a really good performance, and for a 7-minute song with as groove as good as this, I really can't complain. Like some of the track lengths on here, I was thinking, oh god, how's this gonna maintain itself? But really, I just got into a lot of these songs. They really worked for me.
And No Reason almost feels like it could have come off like that XX album, the new one.
Yeah, I agree. It did have that similar type of vocal sound.
No Reasons reminded me very much of like 8-bit video gaming. I don't know why, but it sounded very 8-bit-esque.
I didn't really get a do you mean like chiptune?
Yeah, a little bit, I think.
Maybe there was a bit of that, but I was mainly focusing on his vocals.
The vocals were
I think
phenomenal.
I think he stole the show in that one from
Yeah, for
Bonobo.
But there's two songs I want to talk about: Kerala and Ontario. So Ontario, love the song. I love when he implements the piano with the electronic music. I think it sounds really good. And
Yeah.
the minimalistic vibe is probably what he does best for me. But at the end of the song, there was a sitar. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. There was some sort of Asian influence at the end.
So, which sounded fine in the song, but it would have made more sense in Kerala, because Kerala is an Indian state, and sitar is an Indian instrument. So I thought that just kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't like Kerala at all.
Same.
The skipping
We
tape.
found common ground, Kush.
The skipping tape kind of noises that are going on in the beginning are overdone and boring. The bass did sound nice. The bass was aggressive and it sounded great, at least in my headphones. The vocals were annoying, and I hate when people distort the vocals and make it sound like a 6-year-old child is singing them. That is probably my pet peeve, and they came up in the song, and I wrote all caps, why are there baby sounds?
Oh, I feel you. And I don't know how much of this you get in US pop radio, but for some reason the UK thinks it's fun and cool for about half of the popular songs to have those like down-tuned, modulated 6-year-old vocals as like the lead vocals in half the pop hits. What's going on? Why has that become a thing?
I don't think they're ever here, at least the lead vocals, but they're definitely prevalent in terms of instrumentation, or just like when people aren't singing, those come up, and that ticks me off. I don't know why people think it. I don't know. Maybe there's some people who like it, but I just do not enjoy that at all.
Well, it's pretty creepy if some people like it, considering some of the adult themes these 6-year-old sounding vocals sing about on these songs. Yeah, I hated Corella. I hated that.
Sorry.
I hated that like fast-paced yeah bit.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, the vocals are just kind of obnoxious to me.
I didn't
I
hate
think it-
Kerala, but I think I would have liked it more without the vocals. Like if it was just the instrumental track. I didn't mind the instrumentation at the beginning. It sounded kind of like just like a processed or synth version of like plucked violin strings or something. I like that sound.
Well, I didn't mind the acoustic guitar initially or whatever it was, but did you notice it's basically the exact same thing as Break Free, the exact same, almost exactly, maybe a slightly faster, but whenever an artist does that on the same song, on the same album, with two different instrumentations that sound exactly the same basically, it really annoys me. And maybe this was made before Break Free, but I've had to heard it after, coupled with those vocals, just... Yeah, I definitely think that was a misstep on the album.
I don't even know what Break Free is.
Oh no, it's the song on here. Oh, Break Apart, sorry, that's what I meant. I should really look what song I'm referring to. Yeah, I know that's been a problem before. I got like some song names wrong. Sometimes I write them in my notes wrong. That's when I wrote that Nicotine I, and I thought it was Nicotino on the Flaming Lips one.
Yeah, besides that, Seventh Seas, 7 Cents wasn't anything special. I thought that was just an okay track. Figures was a decent closer. It didn't really sound like a closer. I felt like it could have been replaced with almost any other song on the album. And the vocals were kind of muffled, but the string sets were really nice when that song was coming to a close and as an actual closer for the song. But
oh my god, the strings are otherworldly. I felt this is one of the best closings to an album I've ever heard. Not the whole song, just the strings. It felt like everything had come to a close, and it felt like we achieved something with those strings.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the strings and the piano are the highlights of this album for me.
I just think he's that good of a producer that I just liked this whole album in general. I think he did a really good job, because a lot of people have been saying this album's quite boring, but I don't think so for the most part. Some songs towards the end were a bit boring, like a little bit forgettable, but for the most part I really thought he did a good job here.
Yeah, I think there was a couple songs that were kind of forgettable. There's a couple good songs, and there's like 2 or 3 songs that I just didn't enjoy. Maybe because I'm not a huge fan of electronic music, but for the most part, most of the songs on this album were pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think his vocal choices are pretty good as well.
Yeah, the featured vocalists were all good. Yeah.
From a few songs that we all have different things to say about, it seems like we mostly agree overall.
Yeah.
For different reasons though.
Well, actually, the featured vocalist or sample on Kerala was not good, but other than that, he did a good job.
Yeah, I can't agree with that.
Yeah.
Alex, you want to give it a rating?
I'm going to give it a 7, because if most people who wouldn't like this probably are like you, Kush, and probably don't like the longer songs, which contributes to a more not positive rating. Although I know you like the album, but since I liked all the long songs, it was just a few shorter ones I didn't like that much. Obviously, I really like the whole album, basically lengthwise. So as long as an album takes me on a trip on a few songs and gets me feeling good, like quite a few of these songs did, I can't complain. And for an electronic album, this had quite a bit of variety, and that experiment with the Moroccan sinners on Bambara Koyo Gandra was really inspired. So 7 from me.
And Cam?
I give it a 7 too. It's one that I can definitely imagine revisiting, like just when I have a slow day, just want to sit back, close my eyes, maybe read or something, just something very nice. Yes.
For me, I gave this album a 6, only because of a few tracks I didn't enjoy and some tracks that were kind of forgettable. But I think there are some really good aspects to this album. The piano string sections and how they mix with vocals as well as the electronic music all sound gorgeous when put together. There were a couple things that annoyed me, like obviously the baby sounds in Kerala, and I think there's some monotony in some of the songs towards the end, like 7 Cents and Figures.
Yeah.
But I think overall the album was a good composition. I think everything fit together really well.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this. I'm definitely going to try his earlier albums because I've actually seen them before in charity shops in the UK, and they're all there. He sold a lot of them, so have a fun week next week.
Okay, if that's it, then thanks for tuning in to Bust the Speakers. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed our video. Let us know what you feel about this album in the comments below, and check us out on social media.